Hey guys, so I just worked this problem using the star method. I factored it. If you watch that video, I'm factoring. I'm using what's called the star method or the asterisk method. I've heard folks label it both ways. But either way, you label it or whatever you call it, it's just factoring. That star, that asterisk just gives you somewhere to put each of your pieces that you need to factor. But while I was working that problem, I thought to myself, this explanation in Alex, and while I was working out the problem, I was factoring. The explanation in Alex used factoring, but I want you guys to understand that there are many different ways to solve quadratic equations to get the solutions for x. And I don't want you to just factor. And factoring, honestly, does not always give you the answer, at least the method that I used, that you need. But we could discuss this, but to cut down on time, I want to just jump to the point that the quadratic formula will always give you a precise and an exact answer. So I want to make sure that you guys remember what that is. The quadratic formula is x is equal to the opposite of b plus and minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now, to use this great formula that will always give us a precise answer, we have to first know what a, b, and c is within our quadratic equation that's provided. So here's my equation. Let's bring it over. I have 9x squared is equal to 30x minus 25. Well, before I can use the quadratic formula, I have to first get this equation in what we call standard form. I want it in the form of ax squared. Maybe I should write this down. I want to put it in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0, which means I need to take this quadratic equation and set it equal to 0. I need to bring that 30x across the equal sign and that minus 25. Well, when I bring terms and I move them across the equal sign, if I move it from one side of the equation to the other, that will change the sign of that term. So that will turn or change that equation to 9x squared minus 30x plus 25 is equal to 0. And in that form, I can see what my a is, I can see what my b is, and I can see what my c is. My a is equal to 9, my b is equal to negative 30, and my c is equal to a positive 25. And once you have that, you have really did the hard part, because now I can take all of those terms and I can substitute them into that quadratic formula, which will give me x is equal to the opposite of b. Well, b was negative 30. The opposite of negative 30 is positive 30. So it's going to be 30. It's going to be 30. Give me just a, I knew this would happen. 30 plus or minus the square root of b. Well, b is actually negative 30 squared minus 4. Let's erase this over here, guys, so I have some room. Let's just erase all of this. So that's going to be b squared minus 4. My a is actually 9. My c is 25, and all of that is up under the radical, all divided by 2 times a, which is 9. And that will leave me with x is equal to 30 plus or minus, and I'm gonna give you guys a minute. You can pause, you can pause the video, but I would like for you to put this in your calculator or simplify this if you can, and try to figure out what that is, because I will be honest, that sometimes can be a hard step for students. That is the hardest step for students, I would say, when solving the quadratic or simplifying the quadratic formula, is we have trouble with that radical, simplifying that radical. But if you do it correctly, I'm giving the answer for that part, that radical should simplify to 0 all over 18. So that is really the same as 30 divided by 18. Now, guys, technically you have your answer here. It's 30 divided by 18, but that is not simplified. That is not reduced. So we need to ask ourselves, what is the largest factor that will go into both 30 and 18? Well, I know 3 goes into 30 and 18. I know 9 goes into 18, but not 30. 6 will go into both 30 and 18. 30 divided by 6 is 5. 18 divided by 6 is 3. And that leaves me with 5/3 as a simplified answer. So my answer is that x is equal to 5/3. So if you watched my previous video with factoring, you will see that with factoring, we got to the solution that x was equal to 5/3. And with the quadratic formula, we also received or got this answer that x was equal to 5/3.